Hey there! Today we're going to talk about these pens. They're the same model except they're different finishes. I got these from a Dutch department store. Someone gave me a tip. The department store is called Hema. It's a very Dutch thing. And these are €3 a piece. And yes, they are fountain pens. They're not ballpoints. And someone gave me a tip. I just checked them out, and they're pretty funny and interesting pens. So I'm going to cover the two. I mean, they're the same pens, just different finishes. So I'll take the black one, and I'll show you what it's all about. Cover the parts of the pen, tell what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'll do a writing sample. All right, so here we go. And let's start with the top of the cap. Nothing there. It's just a sort of a flat matte. I wouldn't even call that a jewel. The metal colored version has the same thing. And then you have a clip. There's nothing on the clip. It doesn't really say anything. There's a little band right there, center band. I think that's actually on the barrel, not the cap. And there is nothing of note on the cap. No name, no brand name. And you have the barrel. The barrel is tapered, as you can see. Get another one of those. Well, I guess it's not really chrome colored, it's a bit matte. Chrome, I always associate chrome with something that's really shiny. What I do like is that you get this sort of, especially with the black pen, you have black, metal, black, and then metal again. I think that makes for a fairly nicely balanced pen. On the all-metal version, those rings are shiny, but I think the effect is a little less pronounced than with the black pen. Alright, focus. It's a slip cap mechanism. You can post the pen very securely, so that's nice for people who like that. And then you have a fairly decently sized pen. You can also use it unposted. Then it's definitely a bit smaller. But you know, it is all metal, by the way. At least as far as I can, it feels like metal barrel. I think at least there's metal in there. All right. The nib. You want to see the nib? Well, guess what it says on the nib. There are 3 words. That's right. I'm not sure how you can read it, but it says Iridium Point, Germany, with some scroll work. Not sure what nib this is. Could be by Jovo. It has that scroll work that I think they do. In any case, you can only get this, as far as I could see, in 1 nib width, and that is a fine nib. Okay, then as to the section, you get this sort of tapered thing, and then you have, I've seen these sections on many inexpensive pens. It tapers, you get that metal ring down there, and you have the little cap lip that keeps the cap in place. The pen came with a cartridge. I put in one of those cheap Chinese converters. I always have a couple of them lying around. So they fit. And as you can see, they fit fairly well. I think you can put 1 international short in there and then 1 international short in the barrel, so if you have a spare. I think it should just fit. And that's pretty much all I can say about the pen. They're fairly simple. Maybe you want to see the metal version. As you can see, that has that same black section. So that's all there is to it. Alright, what do I like about it? What do I not like about it? Well, these are simple pens. Let's face it, I mean, for €3 you cannot expect an extremely fantastic, super duper pen, but they are adequate. If you want a knockabout pen, here you got one. Anything I can say about the performance of the pen? Yes, definitely. The fine nib I found to give more feedback than I would like. I'm going to use it right now. I'm not sure whether I would call it scratchy, but it is by no means the smoothest pen I've ever used. It has quite some feedback. So if you get this, you probably want to smooth it out yourself a bit, unless you really like this type of feedback. There are some people who do. For me, it's more feedback than I would personally enjoy. But as I said, €3, knockabout pen. You can throw it away if it's cheap, and you know it can take something because it actually has that metal quality, so it can actually take a bit of a beating. What I did is I got 2. I mean, for this price you may as well. As far as I can remember, there was only the black and this metallic version. There were no other colors. What I did is I just worked on the nib, and I'm not sure whether my camera is going to pick up this excessive detail. I worked on the nib. What I did was I just ground it down, more or less by accident, and it's a lot wetter, broader, and smoother now. I had one of those machines, someone gave them to me with 2 of those wheels, you know, that you can sharpen things with. I used the highest grit stone that was on there, so that should be the smoothest stone. I'd never used it. That's why I go there with a cheap pen. I put the nib on there, and then it just went. And I thought, oh, yeah, half the nib is gone. So apparently this happens. That's why you have to be careful. That's why you have to use a really fine grit of the stone on that. But you know, whatever. It worked out. I polished it a bit, and in all honesty, it's a nice smooth nib now. I like this better than the standard factory nib. So there you have it. Anything else I should say? No, I think it's a decent size. They're a bit slim, a bit skinny. You probably want to hear some measurements. So let's grab the calipers. I'm going to cap the pen here, and I am going to grab that. There we go. Grab that one with the factory nib. All right, length is 127 millimeters. So it's not extremely small. It's not large either. Uncapped, it boils down to, no, get in there. It's very hard to do this. There must be an easy way to do it. I haven't found it yet. Because the nib is so small, it's a little hard to position. I'm just going to put it down. That's way easier than holding it. That's probably the trick. Alright, alright. Should have thought of that sooner. Alright, so I think what we got us here is 116. Wait a minute. Is that correct? It is correct. Yes, 116 millimeters. And then there's the grip section diameter. At the narrowest point, seems to be that, it's 8 millimeters, and at the widest point, down below near the barrel, it's just over 8. I would say 8.5, just a little less than 9 millimeters. Alright, I will get more fluent in this, I'm sure, as time progresses, but for now, that's the talk about the pen. I think we need to see the 2 of them in action, and that's what I'm going to do next. So I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye bye. Okay, so writing with the Hema fountain pen. I know it's not really fountain. The nib would be fine. This is the factory nib. The ink is Ackerman. Chinatown red. There we go. Alright, let's do a bit of writing. This is the slogan of the department store, Hema, which is difficult to translate because it's sort of an expression, but it means something like, not so much I go to this store, but this is my store. I like to go there. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. Right now I'm using Rhodia paper, and the nib is fairly smooth on this. Now I have to say I spent quite a lot of time smoothing it out a bit myself. So this is both smooth paper and a nib that has been worked on. But you know, that's what you get. So it is possible to attain some smoothness. When it comes to some coarser papers, what I have here is some a Chiac notebook from Italy. Very nice paper, but this is not as smooth as Rhodia is. I feel more feedback, and you may actually hear some feedback too. Okay, that's what you get. What about wetness? Well, I've worked a little bit on that too, and right now I would say this pen has a decent wetness, as you can see there. Line variation. As you can see, you can squeeze some out. Not very easily, but it is possible. So this would be no pressure. Now I'm adding pressure, adding pressure, adding pressure. Maybe we should do some fast writing to see how well the feed keeps up. Yes, so that seems to be doing very well. And I think that concludes our business for the factory nib, although I have worked a bit on it. And let's have a look at that other nib. So this is the nib that I worked on myself, that I nearly ground to bits. I have no idea which ink this is. I just slipped in the cartridge that came with the pen. As you can see, or may be able to see, this nib got a bit broader than the nib that came with it. This is the nib that came with it, but I mean that is not altered. As to wetness, nice and wet, a somewhat broader line than the regular nib, as I've just said. Maybe some fast writing. My idea was to turn this into a somewhat stubbish nib, and I think I succeeded relatively well. You see that these strokes are broader than those strokes. Even though it was a bit of an accident, it was actually what I was striving for, except that I overdid it a bit. But, you know, here you got this nib. So, for a €3 pen, I think this does pretty well. These are nice pens to practice nib grinding or smoothing on. Can you expect for that amount of money pens that write like this? Well, what do you think? Of course you can't. But that's okay. I mean, it's good to have some pens that are just inexpensive, knockabout pens you can just take with you wherever you go. You can drop them, you can stand on them, you can lose them, you can get them stolen, whatever. And you can have a lot of fun with the nibs, just playing around. And, you know, that's part of the fun of collecting and using fountain pens. So, I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.